Good morning. We're just going to give a moment for folks to enter from the waiting room and connect to audio so that everybody can hear us. As a reminder, when you are entering from the waiting room, please do remain on mute unless or until you are appearing or testifying before the board. We'll give just another moment to make sure the waiting room is cleared. Good morning. This is a hearing before the licensing board for the city of Boston. Today is Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024. Today's hearing is being held pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. Today's hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman of the Board, Kathleen Joyce.
Thanks, Danny. Good morning. My name is Kathleen Joyce, and I'm Chair of the Boston Licensing Board. Today, I'm also joined by Commissioner Kiana Saxon and Commissioner Liam Curran.
Thank you. Please ensure that your audio and visuals are working properly. We'll call each item in the order that it appears on this morning's agenda. I will then ask who is present on behalf of the licensee, who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department, and whether there are any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify. I will then swear in all parties. After that, the police report will be read into the record, and the licensee or their representative will have the opportunity to make a brief statement, followed by questions by the chair and commissioners. All testimony will be limited only to those individuals with firsthand personal knowledge of the alleged incident. Begin with the first item on this morning's agenda, calling item number 175 Ipswich Street LLC, located at 175 Ipswich Street. Date of the incident, June 8th, 2023. Assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Attorney Green, Madam Chair, members of the board. Dennis Quilty, attorney representing the licensee. With me this morning, I hope, Scott Hentosh, the Director of Security, and Laura Marie Cancro, who's the administrative officer for the licensee. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Detective James Goldman.
Thank you, Detective. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Officer Manuel Roberto.
Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Who will be reading the police report into the record?
Will be.
Thank you. You may please proceed.
Okay. At about 22:30 on June 8th, 2023, Lieutenant Daniel Duff and myself, Officer Manuel Roberto, were working a paid detail at 2 Lansdowne Street, Boston, MGM Music Hall. We responded to a fight call. Upon arrival, officers spoke with Michael Hunter, date of birth 7/23/1960, Lima Ochoa, date of birth 11/29/72, and Sebastian Hunter, date of birth 10/22/2005. Michael Hunter stated that while attending the concert at MGM Music Hall, a fight broke out next to him and his wife, Lima Ochoa, and his son, Sebastian Hunter. Michael Hunter stated an unknown female tried to then fight his wife, at which time Mr. Hunter stated that he and his son intervened and stood between the female and his wife. At this point, officers were notified by MGM security that another participant in the fight was in a room on the first floor being evaluated by EMS. Officers Roberto, myself, then spoke with Rebecca Laguna, date of birth 5/16/1991, who was visibly bleeding from her nose. Mrs. Laguna stated that while she was on the fourth floor of the MGM Music Hall, a fight broke out. Mrs. Laguna stated that as she and her husband, Jason Laguna, date of birth 9/31/1981, were backing away from the fight, an older gentleman with glasses punched her husband in the side of the head. Mrs. Laguna stated that she intervened by grabbing the male by the shoulder, at which time the male punched her with a closed fist in the nose. Mrs. Laguna described the male as an older gentleman in his 50s, 60s, 5'9" to 5'10", balding, wearing glasses that were knocked off, and wearing a black t-shirt. Mrs. Laguna and Mr. Laguna were evaluated by EMS in the jail, and Mrs. Laguna was transported to Beth Israel for further evaluation by Boston EMS, ambulance A16. Officers then spoke with Brittany Lynch, date of birth 9/10/1998, who stated that she was also assaulted by an older male. Ms. Lynch stated that she was in row 306, located on the fourth floor, and was dancing with her boyfriend, Dominic Joseph Pomeo, date of birth 11/19/1998, at which time an older gentleman began yelling at her and her boyfriend. Ms. Lynch stated she attempted to reason with the male, at which time he open hand slapped her across the left side of her face. Ms. Lynch stated at that time her boyfriend Dominic then punched the older male and the two began fighting. Ms. Lynch stated at that time security arrived and separated both parties. Ms. Lynch stated that other fights began to occur near them soon after. Ms. Lynch described the male as being in his 50s to 60s, balding, glasses, white non-Hispanic male wearing a black t-shirt. Ms. Lynch described the male's wife as 5'4", short brown hair, black shirt. Ms. Lynch was evaluated by EMS and released. Officers went back to the main entrance area to speak with Mr. Michael Hunter, who left the venue with his family. Officers spoke with Security Supervisor Scott, who stated he would save CCTV footage of the incident for detectives. That's the end of the report.
Thank you very much. Attorney Quilty, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yeah, I do. I didn't know, Attorney Green, was there a supplemental report?
We do not have one in the packet.
Okay, I didn't have whether there was the inspection notice was authored by other officers. I just didn't know whether there was another report. If I may, I don't know whether I can't see on my screen. Is Scott Hentosh with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. So if I may just ask the officer a couple of questions. Officer, as suggested in your report, you were part of a paid detail that night at the MGM facility.
I was.
And was there, to your knowledge, also a paid EMT detail working that night?
Yes, they were the EMTs that were with us that helped evaluate, and then they called an ambulance.
Okay. From your report, it would appear that you arrived at the level wherever the fight occurred after anything had happened.
Correct.
And you were talking to people who were involved and they told you what you wrote in your report.
Yes.
Okay. Is it to your knowledge, is the individual described as the older glasses wearing bald guy, is that the same person that was involved in both of these incidents?
From the description, yes, they described them. They were very similar description
Okay.
of both victims.
And Mr. Hentosh will testify that he stopped that person from leaving and pointed him out to the officers on scene. Do you recall that?
We did speak to him first, before we spoke to the other individuals. Then we spoke to the other individuals that gave us a description. Then when we went to speak with the individual again, he was gone.
Okay. And as to the initial, your initial knowledge of the incident, was it brought to your attention by staff at MGM?
That there was a fight, yes.
Yes. Okay. So they, in the usual course, they came and found you and said, hey, there's something going on at 306 or wherever, and you went to help.
Correct.
Okay. And did the staff cooperate with you?
Yes, they were very cooperative.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And did you, generally speaking, time of night, did the incident occur at around the time the show was ending?
Yes, it was towards the end of the night.
Okay, so there were people trying to leave, there were people trying to talk to you about the fight. You're trying to figure out what happened. This is all going on at the same time. Is that right?
There were a few people trying to leave. Yeah, it was the end of the night. There was a lot going on there.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I don't have any further questions for the officer. I would like to present Mr. Unless the BPD have other witnesses. May I just present Mr. Hentosh?
Right?
Sorry. Scott, so could you just tell the board your name and your title at the place? And you've already been sworn, have you not, this morning?
I
Yes.
have, yes. Scott Hentosh, security manager at the MGM Fenway.
Okay, and you've heard the incident described by the officer. Were you present on the night in question?
Affirmative.
Okay, and on the night in question, did you have Boston Police Detail and EMT Detail working that night?
Yes, correct. Two Boston EMS detail, two Boston PD detail.
And can you say to the board what your policy is with regard to police detail and EMT details?
Generally, they stage in the lobby to respond to any incidents on all 4 floors. We find that's a general location that we can access them pretty easily.
But with regard to your requesting details, how often? Is it every show?
Yeah, we request 4 details every show.
4 being 2 BPD, 2 EMS?
4 BPD, 2 EMS for every show.
Okay. And on the night in question, you indeed had both details filled.
We had 2, yes.
And to your knowledge, was it an employee of yours, a security person who went and found the police and indicated there was something going on to ask for their
Yeah.
help?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, sir. It was one of our supervisors,
And who was that person?
named Troy Thomas.
Okay. And you you were then made aware of it at roughly the same time.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And were you given a description of this person described as the older gentleman with the glasses, balding, et cetera?
Yeah, yep.
And at some point, subsequent to having that description, did you in fact see that person?
We did, yeah. We all kind of arrived on the 306 at the same time.
Okay. And what happened with regard to that person? What did you do interacting with him?
When we arrived at the incident had pretty much de-escalated, and parties were being brought downstairs to be interviewed.
And did you observe that gentleman downstairs in the lobby area?
Yes, I did.
And what was he doing?
At what point he was trying to leave, and we were right in front of the lobby exit doors, and it was during egress, and I just made sure that he didn't leave at that time while the officers were doing their investigation.
And then were you there did you then basically indicate that this person was involved, indicate that to the BPD officers?
Yeah, I did let one of them know that he was involved in the incident.
Okay. And did you cooperate with the police department
I believe I did, so yes.
and your staff?
Correct.
Okay. And did you have any follow-up rather? I'm sorry, it indicates in the report that you had indicated you would save the video of the night, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
And have you done so?
Yes, affirmative.
And was that ever turned over to BPD, to the officers who gave the violation notice request?
It was not at this time, no.
Okay,
You
but
still
you
have
have it, we can provide that, we'll provide that today.
Affirmative.
Mr. Green?
Yep.
If I may, Detective Govan, I'm the detective on the case. I did receive video.
Okay.
Yeah, I did receive video. And the individual involved, the first individual that they spoke to, there was a photo array conducted with the victim. The victim was unable to identify the suspect in that array. So.
Thank you, Detective. I'm sorry. So you have the video. We'll provide it to the board anyway, so you have it for your records.
Thank you for that.
I don't have any further questions for Mr. Hentosh. The board might, sir, so stick around here.
Sure.
Thank you, Attorney Quilty. Do you have other witnesses, or is that?
Ms. Cancro is basically the administrator for the licensee premises. I don't think she has anything to add to this. That's it for us.
Thank you. Then we'll see if there are any questions from the board, starting with Chairwoman Joyce.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us today. So Mr. Hintosh, I don't know if this question is for you or for someone else on your team, but at this level, I think the third level. So are there actual security people roaming that level, or is it, how do they know that? How do the officers, the security know that are staged in the lobby to respond to something on the third floor?
Yeah, we have two teams of three security officers on that floor. It's actually section 306, but it's on the fourth floor.
Okay,
So we have two teams of three on every floor.
so can you describe on that night how you found out about this? Did someone call down to you, or? what
Yeah,
did you
the
officers?
roaming. Yeah, the roaming team, they call it in as an incident on the third floor behind 306. Supervisor then contacted the BPD. I think we all kind of arrived at the same time.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any questions, Commissioner Saxon or Commissioner Curran.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
No questions from me. Thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement and we will wait for the video that will be provided.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll do that today. Thank you.
Calling item number 2, Big Night Venues Boston 4 LLC, doing business as Scorpion Bar and Restaurant, The Grand, located at 25 Northern Ave. Date of the incident, August 13th, 2023. Assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Kristen Scanlon representing the licensee, and signed on with us this morning as well as Charlie Kane, who is Director of Security for the licensed premises.
Thank you. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Good morning, everybody. Sergeant Timothy Denio.
Good morning, Officer Richard Joyce.
Thank you. And are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Who will be reading the police report for the record?
Me, Sergeant Timothy Denio.
Thank you. You may please proceed.
Yes, sir. About 12:44 a.m. on Sunday, August 13th, 2023, Officers Joyce and Kelly, assigned to the Fox 112 Alpha unit, responded to a radio call for a group of 6 people arguing outside of the Grand at 58 Seaport Boulevard in Boston. Upon arrival, officers spoke with the victim, Delayla, and her boyfriend, Nikolai Jensen, who stated they were inside the Grand at the table they had reserved for the night when a group of 3 girls had overtaken said table and began ordering drinks at her table. The victim, one, stated she began yelling at the girls. Excuse me.
Sergeant, are you still with us?
If you like, I could continue reading the report.
If you wouldn't mind, that would be great.
The victim, Dwayne, stated that she began yelling at the girls to leave the table when the girl in the black top and jeans pushed her, which began a physical altercation between the 3 girls, the victim and her boyfriend. The victim stated that during said altercation that her earrings were ripped off from her ear and her shirt was pulled. Also that she struck the girl in the black top and jeans, Valerie Batista, in the face in self-defense. The victim's boyfriend, Jensen, stated that when the altercation started, he was trying to get in between the girls to end the fight and protect his girlfriend. The officers did not observe any physical injuries to Dwayne or Jensen. The victim pointed out that the suspects were still on scene. Officers spoke with the woman in the black top and jeans, who stated that they also had reservations for the night at the Grands, and they were invited to the table by when the victim.
We're having a hard time hearing you. You're going in and out.
Oh, excuse me. Officers spoke with the woman in the black top and jeans, Batista, who stated they also had reservations for the night at the Grands, and they were invited to the table by a friend when the victim confronted and attacked them, and they were acting in self-defense. The suspects also stated that the victim's boyfriend was grabbing them by the hair and pushing them. Officers observed a welt on Batista's forehead. All parties denied EMS. The Fox 902 Sergeant Denio arrived on scene and issued a licensed premise inspection notice citation number 044202 to the Grands.
Thank you very much. Attorney
Thank
Scanlon,
you.
would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, please. Officer Joyce, you responded to this call personally that evening, correct?
That's correct.
And throughout your encounter with licensed premises staff that evening, were they cooperative with you?
Yes, they're always cooperative with us.
Thanks very much. Madam Chair, members of the board, if I may, and Mr. Kane can testify in a few moments because he was at the premises that evening and on duty and has firsthand knowledge of the incident and his involvement with it. But there were no issues with either table or any patrons previously in the night. None of the patrons identified in the Boston Police report were previously known to the licensed premises staff. Consistent with licensed premises protocol, security is stationed in the bottle service area, covering the four corners of that area. Additionally, with bottle servers stationed at each table, that was followed and by the book that evening. Tables are additionally separated by stanchions. Inconsistent with the alleged victim's statement, and upon reviewing records from that evening, neither Ms. Dwan, the alleged victim in the report, or her boyfriend, Mr. Jensen, reserved a table that evening. But consistent with the police report, a minor altercation did occur, but without warning, and licensed premises staff responded immediately and by the book, separating the parties, removing them from the area, and calling 911. As the police report indicated, no medical attention was required. Further, and as Mr. Kane will testify, licensed premises staff, I believe it was Mr. Kane personally, proactively followed up with BPD offering video, which was preserved and can be supplied to the board if desired. As you'll see on the video, if the board watches it, it'll show perhaps some quick verbal interaction which escalated quickly to an altercation, a minor altercation, which security staff then immediately stepped in. Otherwise, as previously indicated, nothing foreseeable occurred in that evening that would lead licensed premises staff to believe that this altercation would occur. I'd like to hand it over to Mr. Kane at this point, who can testify as to what he witnessed in his involvement with these patrons and interactions with the police.
Thank you. Good morning, Attorney Green and members of the board. Charles Kane, Director of Security for Big Night. So on this night in question, Sunday, August 13th at approximately 12:25 a.m., there was a minor altercation by the left of the DJ booth by the dance floor. It was a verbal with minor pushing after reviewing the video. And in the video, you'll see that my security manager, John Fothergill, is literally there within 3 seconds in the middle of the females. And a security officer who was stationed throughout the video, right within feet, is there immediately also. There is one punch thrown, and that's thrown by the Ms. Dwan over the shoulder of my security officer, which then the situation was completely de-escalated and separated. Sorry about that. And as stated by Attorney Scanlon, no one from that table under those names had a table. It appears that they were friends and guests of other people that had the table and unrelated to each other. This happened, like I said, within seconds, started as a verbal, got into a little pushing, which security was in there within seconds. It was unavoidable at that time. And I believe that the staff did a great job in de-escalating, separating, and getting them outside, notifying 911. Our Vice President, Jamie Pollock of Operations, called 911. I was on site and met them outside and provided the video to Detective Sean Flynn from Area C6. And we still have the video preserved. The board would like it sent to them.
Thank you. We'll see if there are any questions from the board at this time. Chairwoman Joyce, any questions?
How long would you say this altercation took place, that the descriptions like earrings were pulled out, hair was ripped?
It's very quick. I don't see any, but his earrings get ripped out. Police didn't see any of those injuries consistent with the statements outside. I believe it says in the report.
Okay.
You do see one punch, and I believe that is Miss Dwayne that threw it over the shoulder of our security manager. I was there when Boston was interviewing them and waiting for 911. All six of them, it was 3 girls in one party, 2 girls in a male party in the other side of the altercation. All gave conflicting stories to the Boston police officer. It seemed like they had a different version of what happened.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Curran, do you have any questions of Commissioner Saxon?
I do not, thank you.
No questions from me either. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, the board will take this matter under advisement as well. Thank you. Calling item number 3, which is the same licensee, Big Night Venues Boston 4 LLC, doing business as Scorpion Bar and Restaurant The Grand, located at 25 Northern Ave. Dated this incident September 24th, 2023. Assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Attorney Kristen Scanlon again for the licensee, and with us again is Charlie Kane, Director of Security.
Thank you. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Attorney Green, I believe it was the sergeant that was on with us earlier.
Same 2 police officers.
Thank
And
you.
Officer Richard Joyce, Boston Police.
Thank you, Sergeant Benio, Officer Joyce. You have all been sworn in. Are there any other individuals who would like to testify on this matter who have not yet been sworn in?
This is Timothy Denio, Sergeant.
Yep, thank you very much. And with that, you have all been sworn. Who will be reading the police report into the record?
I can read it. I believe Sergeant Daniel's having issues with
Sergeant
this.
Timothy Denio, Rick.
Sure, no worries. Officer Joyce, you may proceed.
Thank you. About 1:28 a.m. on Sunday, 9/24/23, officers Joyce and Picaro assigned to the Fox 101 Alpha responded to a radio call for a fight at the Grand's nightclub, 58 Seaport Boulevard, Boston. Also responding were the Fox 411 Alpha Lopez, the Fox 499 Alpha Sepulveda, and the Fox 112 Alpha LeGrand and Martin. Prior to arrival, officers were notified via Channel 6 dispatch that the parties involved were already removed from the establishment and separated by security. Upon arrival, security pointed out the suspects to officers. Officer Joyce spoke with suspect 1, Ronaldo Oslan, who stated that he was going to use the restroom stall when suspect 2, Aldo Jankula, unprovoked slammed the stall door into suspect 1, leaving the small laceration and bruising above his right eyebrow, which started a fight between the two in the restroom. Suspect 1 further stated that when he was being removed by security, suspect 3, Patrick Jankula, sucker punched him in the face, leaving him with a bloody and swollen lip. Officers Picaro and Sepulveda spoke with suspect 2 and 3, who both stated that there was an altercation between suspect 1 and the group that they were with, which resulted in a fight in the restroom. Officers observed minor swelling to suspect 2's left eye. All suspects denied EMS. Officers Martin and LeGrand spoke with the security for the Grand, who stated that one of their employees, Antonius Zaki, was injured while breaking up the fight. Zaki stated that he was breaking up the fight when he fell, and suspect 3 landed on his wrist, bending his thumb backwards. Officers observed swelling around Zaki's left thumb. Boston EMS A1 arrived on scene and treated Zaki. The Fox 902 Sergeant Denio arrived on scene and issued a licensed premise inspection notice citation number 044203 to the Grants. Body worn cameras activated.
Thank you, officer. Attorney Scanlon, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, just briefly for Officer Joyce. Officer Joyce, again, in this incident, you responded personally to this incident that was called in,
I did.
and were staff cooperative that evening throughout your duration on the premises that evening?
They were.
And the call came directly from the premises as well, correct?
I believe it did, yes.
Thank you very much. Again, Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Kane was on duty that evening as well and can testify to his firsthand knowledge of the incident and his interaction with the alleged suspects in the report as well. But as you'll hear, Mr. Kane testify, no issues with any patron alleged in the report previously that night. None of them were known to the licensed premises staff prior to this evening, and no interaction was observed by staff prior to the incident occurring in the bathroom that evening with the parties. Again, consistent with licensed premises protocol, security is stationed in the bathroom. They have bathroom attendants every evening. Obviously, there's no cameras inside the bathroom, but they do have cameras set up outside the bathroom. An altercation occurred, as the police report stated, inside the bathroom with the male patrons, and as the police report states, seemingly unprovoked. Again, in this instance, licensed premises staff proactively followed up with BPD to inquire whether they wanted video in this incident. I don't believe they did, but it's still preserved if the board wishes to see the footage. When the altercation occurred between the parties, the bathroom attendant radioed for assistance immediately, and you'll see someone also run out of the bathroom on the video to get assistance as well. Licensed premises staff immediately responded, and again, by the book, separated the parties as the police report indicates and removed them from the area, calling 911 for assistance. Otherwise, nothing was foreseeable, again, that evening that occurred that would lead licensed premises staff to believe this altercation would occur. And Mr. Kane can testify to what he witnessed in his involvement with the patrons and interactions with police, in particular, his assessment of the alleged suspects in this matter.
Good morning again. As stated by Attorney Scanlon, we have a bathroom attendant that has a radio that's in the bathroom in the men's and ladies' room. And he immediately made a radio call for help, and another person ran out. And we have a security officer that is assigned to the hallway right outside the bathroom. Again, there are no cameras in there. The response on the video of the hallway camera shows immediate response by security officer that was outside, which is my officer that was injured when he first went in. Unknown. There was 3 people. He got knocked over by suspect number 3. And dislocated his thumb when he fell down, and other security went in. All parties were separated immediately and escorted to separate places in the venue. That's when I became involved up on the 3rd floor with suspect number 2, Aldo Jacula. He's the one that slammed the door on suspect number 1, basically provoking this incident in the bathroom. For what reason, we don't know. He was very uncooperative, ranting about in Russia, the police don't get involved and they handle this. And I said, well, the police are coming and they're going to handle it. You're not handling it. He was verbally and physically aggressive with us, trying to get him out of the venue to calm down, not to cause further incidents with other patrons that were walking down the stairwell. I advised him the police were coming, and we finally got him outside and calmed down to speak with the police. At that time, the police showed up, spoke to everybody, and I was issued the LPV by Sergeant Antonio, and I believe everything was handled appropriately. We do not have video, like I stated, in the bathroom, but you will see on the hallway video, it was handled immediately and per your policy and procedure and our policies and procedures. I also did, sorry, one last thing. I always reach out if I don't hear from a detective when we receive an LPV, an assault and battery, or an incident. To see if there's one assigned. We had already created a file with the LPV with the video preserved. And upon talking with the detective sergeant, they stated no detective was assigned at that time. And we have not heard for requests for the video as of this date.
Thank you for that. We will see if there are any questions from the board on this matter, starting with Chairwoman Joyce.
Thank you. I don't have any questions.
Yeah, neither do I. Thank you.
Commissioner Saxon.
None from me, thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 4, Boston Speakeasy Inc., doing business as the Hopewell Bar and Kitchen, located at 1277 Commonwealth Ave in Alston, dated the incident July 8th, 2023. Assault and battery patron on staff in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. And assault and battery staff on patron in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
I am Douglas Bacon, owner and manager of record.
Thank you, Mr. Bacon. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I am Frank McLaughlin. I'm the sergeant that issued the license premise.
Thank you, Sergeant McLaughlin. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
I believe Officer Jeff Driscoll is on, but I'm not sure. I think he might be having some trouble with his audio.
I'm on, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We see Officer Driscoll and we can hear you as well.
I have with me Marcus Duhame, who is the bar manager at this location, and he also can testify. He was engaged and involved in this incident and is referenced in the police report. I see that he's logged in, but I'm not sure if he's connected. You may be muted, Marcus.
I see Marcus as well, but unmute.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
I've
if he's
just asked
having
him to
technical
unmute
problems.
to see if he can identify himself, and he'll also need to turn his camera on so we can serve him in if he's planning to provide testimony. Mr. Duhame, if you are with us and if you are planning on providing testimony, please do unmute and turn your camera on so that we may do so. And with that, we'll ask if there are any other individuals who wish to testify on this matter. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Who will be reading the police report into the record?
I think Officer Driscoll, if he has it.
Yes,
Great.
I'll be
Officer
reading the
Driscoll,
report. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, about 2100 hours on 7/8/2023, officers Driscoll and Manning, while assigned to the Kilo 202 Frank unit, responded to 1277 Com Ave, Hopewell Bar and Kitchen for a fight. There were multiple units that responded along with the sergeant. Officers spoke to suspect Dante Kimbroth, who was intoxicated. He was unsteady on his feet and had difficulty speaking, which made it difficult to understand. Dante was uncooperative, loud and angry at times. Dante explained that he was kicked out of the bar and punched in the face. He wasn't that cooperative, so we didn't get too much from him. Officers requested EMS to respond to the scene. Officers spoke to the bar manager, Marcus Duhame, who explained that customer Dante was asked to leave because he was intoxicated. Marcus explained that an altercation ensued between Dante and his staff. Marcus explained that Dante headbutted one of his employees, DJ Welcome. Marcus explained that the removal of Dante then escalated to where a total of 4 staff members had to assist. Marcus explained that Dante was removed from the bar, and that's when officers arrived. Officers spoke to DJ, who explained that Dante deliberately headbutted him. Officers were unable to observe any types of marks of the headbutting. He did decline medical attention. Boston EMS spoke to Dante and declined transport. Officers Driscoll and Manning gave Dante, his girlfriend, and her friend a ride back to their apartment. And then the sergeant conducted a licensed premise on that facility.
Thank you, Officer Driscoll. Mr. Bacon, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, if I may I ask some questions of the police officer?
You may.
Officer, was the staff cooperative with you?
Extremely cooperative.
Did you see any marks or indications that anybody had struck Mr. I don't know his last name, Dante, the person in question who started this?
Did he, was his
No,
face
as the
marked, or
report-
did he look like he'd been hit?
No, I did not see any indication of that.
Okay, thank you. We've had multiple conversations about this incident. This gentleman, and I wish Marcus was able to speak to this because he was an eyewitness to this. He was served on the patio by one of our servers, and as soon as he was served the drink, it became apparent that he was intoxicated. He was not showing any signs of that prior to being served. He then proceeded inside where he was playing pool with some other patrons, and he drew attention to himself and was behaving in a manner that made the staff realize that he was very intoxicated. Marcus Duhame established contact with him and told him that he wouldn't be served anymore. I think he may have removed the drink from him and asked him to leave. At this time, the patron became very confrontational. Marcus left the area where the pool table is to call the police, and immediately as he was walking away, a confrontation and a incident occurred where he became physically confrontational with our staff, and Marcus went back, and with the assistance of other staff, they removed him. He was a very large individual, tall, and that at that time, this man Dante headbutted one of our employees, but there really wasn't so much a fight as a struggle and a difficult confrontation, because this gentleman became confrontational, argumentative, and physically difficult. And at that time, we called the police. One of the staff members called the police while this was going on, and when they saw the police cars coming down the street and the lights, he took off running, as if, you know, he didn't want to have any interaction with the police. My understanding is that Marcus and some of the other staff were talking to the officers, and the gentleman started walking down the street, and they pointed him out, and then that's when the police engaged him, is my understanding. It's an unfortunate incident, but I do believe that our staff handled it entirely appropriately, and I apologize. And I also, I believe the police officers on scene asked to look at the video from the inside, and we were having a malfunction of some kind where the video system was not properly recording, and we were not able to show the officers the video. It is working now. And Marcus is texting me saying that he's not able to join the meeting, and I apologize for that.
Thank you. Yeah, we do see him in the meeting, but it seems like he's having trouble either connecting to audio or video. With that, we will see if there are any questions based on what we've heard so far. Chairman Joyce, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Excuse me, can I just add to it, Sergeant McLaughlin? I have a couple things to say.
Of course.
I do want to say the patron on the staff on patron assault came because Marcus, I'm sorry, Dante told us he was punched in the face. When we went inside, he was right. We were not able to view the video, but one of his staff did say they punched him in the face. That's why that was done. That was Marcus. I'm sorry. The suspect Dante said it, and one of their staff confirmed that in the thing they did punch him in the face. So that, just to be clear, that wasn't just issued. It was issued because of what the investigation we did at that point. They are right. The staff was very helpful. They called us. This guy was a big, muscular kid, built like a football player. He was very argumentative. He was very volatile. At that time, they told us that he had been sitting outside. They had given him one drink, and I believe that he is right. They took the drink away and wouldn't reserve him. So they did, I think, in their part, they did what they were supposed to do. They called us, but we drove this guy home to get him away from there because he wouldn't leave. So we drove him out of there, and he was confrontational when he got him back to his house. So the Dante was confrontational, but I just want to be clear that that their staff did say they punched him in the face when they were in the struggle. That's why that was issued.
Thank you, officer. Did they mention whether that was acting in self-defense?
They didn't. I wouldn't say it was self-defense. I think it was a reaction to his struggling and headbutting them. But they did say they did punch him in it. I wouldn't call that self-defense. I would call that a reaction.
Thank you, officer.
Thank you. We'll see if there are any questions from the board at this time, given the additional testimony. Chairman Joyce, any questions?
Mr. Bacon, do you have a response to that? Or could you tell me what your protocol is for staff if they punch someone or respond like this?
We have a policy that everyone's aware of, that we don't engage people and avoid physical confrontations whenever possible. And if one begins, we call the police. We do tell the staff they're allowed to defend themselves. And our DJ, our doorman who checks IDs at the door, whose name is DJ, we don't have a DJ, was headbutted. And I don't think anyone ever told me that they punched this man, Dante, but I have no reason to question the officer who was on scene that night.
Okay, Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions?
I do not, thank you.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement. Calling item number 5, Last Drop Inc., doing business as The Last Drop, located at 594A to 596 Washington Street in Brighton. Date of the incident, July 9th, 2023. Assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
I am Douglas Bacon, owner and manager of record.
Thank you. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Officer McNoy should be here, but if not, Lieutenant Detective Troy.
Thank you, Lieutenant Troy. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth?
Officer Massiosi's here.
Okay. Oh, great. Thank you for being with us. Is it possible to turn your camera on so that we can swear you in? There we go.
How's that?
Thank you. That's great. And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And who will be reading the police report into the record?
I can read it if it's all right.
That would be great. If you could please proceed.
Okay, before I begin, I'd like to say to the folks that there is one correction concerning this report. It was originally Stay said it occurred on July 9th. It was actually July 8th at 1:17 a.m.
Thank you for that correction.
So I'll begin reading the report. About 1:17 a.m. on Saturday, and again, it states 7/9/2023. That should say 7/8/2023. Officer Masiosi in the Kilo 426 Alpha Unit responded to a radio call for an assault and battery report at the intersection of Breck Avenue and Washington Street, Brighton. Now, just for the folks, that location is located right next to the Last Drop bar, approximately about 60, 70 yards from it. Upon arrival, the responding officer spoke with Emily Haight, the victim. The responding officer observed the victim to be physically upset and in the company of the 911 caller / the boyfriend. The victim stated that prior to officer arrival, she was physically assaulted in the Last Drop bar located at 596 Washington Street in Brighton. The victim stated that an unknown female suspect approached the victim while both parties were inside the Last Drop bar and proceeded to choke the victim by placing both hands around the victim's neck area. It should be noted that the boyfriend was not on scene when the reported incident occurred. So just to make a note that the boyfriend was the 911 caller. The victim described the suspect as a white female having blonde hair with dark colored hair, bottom hair, medium build, wearing a dark colored tank top and dark colored shorts. The victim proceeded to state that the female suspect was in the company of several male parties inside the establishment. The responding officer searched for the suspect within the description provided by victim to no avail. Boston EMS Unit A13 responded to a reported incident location to evaluate the victim. The victim declined further medical attention and was able to walk to her residence accompanied by her boyfriend. D14 Patrol Supervisor Sergeant Detective Johnson in the Victor 949 unit responded to reported incident location. a code 35 was conducted and a citation was issued to above mentioned licensed premise for patron on patron assault and battery number 025352. Bar manager for the Vlastraw Bar, Eric Wallace, signed accepted citation. The bar manager did not have access to surveillance camera footage, but was advised to retain footage pending further investigation.
Thank you, officer. Mr. Bacon, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, thank you. I've looked at the video and I've talked to the people who worked. I can't really see much of an assault on the video. I don't see anyone putting their hands around anyone else's neck. It was all very quick, literally a 2-second or 3-second confrontation. This is a neighborhood place, very much populated by people who know each other and have relationships with each other and their neighbors and their friends. And I think that this was an incident of two people who didn't like each other very much. And it just doesn't seem credible that the allegations of someone assaulting someone else to the point where engaging the police department. The staff responded very, very quickly, as well as other patrons who are somewhat protective and territorial of this environment, which is a neighborhood meeting place. And I'm kind of puzzled as to why this woman chose to call the police instead of just going home. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. We'll see if there are any questions. Chairman Joyce.
Thank you. We do have video in the file, which I did review. I have no questions.
No questions from me, thank you.
No
Thank you.
questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The board will take this matter under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 6, Telegraph Hill Tavern LLC, doing business as Telegraph Hill Kitchen and Bar, located at 289 Dorchester Street in South Boston. Date of the incident, October 15th, 2023. Premise operating after posted 1 a.m. closing hour in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and premise providing free alcoholic beverages in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 64. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Michael Ford here for the licensee Telegraph. And then with me, I believe they're all together on one screen, is Jeremy Scanlon, assistant manager, Daniel Bennett, security working that night, and then Michael Wolfson, the bartender, working that evening.
Thank you very much. I do see all three. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Lieutenant Detective Troy.
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher.
Thank you. And are there any individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Detective Hernandez is needed.
Thank you, Detective Hernandez.
Detective Rooney is also present. I just see she's on mute there, but.
Yeah, sorry, I do see her. If you are planning on testifying, could you please identify yourself?
Hi, Detective Mary Rooney.
Thank you, Detective. You could all please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. And who will be reading the report into the record?
Lieutenant Detective Troy, I'll read the initial original incident report.
Thank you. You may please proceed.
Okay, reading from a redacted version of the incident report. And it reads as follows. At about 12 p.m. on Sunday, October 15, 2023, a victim known as the Commonwealth walked into District 6 to file a police report. Victim stated on the evening of October 7, 2023, around 11:45, she went out with some friends to Telegraph Hill Bar and Restaurant. She stated she had one alcoholic beverage before going out. She stated she had one drink while at Telegraph Hill before they closed around 1 a.m. She stated a male employee by the name of Wolf told the other patrons to leave, but told the victim and her friends that they could stay and finish their drinks. The victim stated that Wolf told her that her and her friends to come into the back corner so people couldn't see them from the window. She stated Wolf then asked if she would like another drink. She replied yes, and she stated that he then opened her and her friends high noons. The victim stated she found it odd that he had opened the drinks with his back towards the group and brought each can of High Noon over individually. The victim stated that Wolf said they would not have to pay for the drinks because he couldn't put money through the system since the bar had closed. And there follows a paragraph, graphic, and just moving onwards. Victim stated she believed that she may have been assaulted and drugged while at Telegraph Hill Bar. She said she was separated from her friends. The duty supervisor, Sergeant Crabb, was notified, as well as the Victor 987, Detective Rooney from the Sexual Assault Unit. That's the initial incident report.
The next one's mine, if you want me to continue with that, if you want to go to Detective Rooney. How do you want to proceed?
We only have one other report, which is yours, Sergeant Gallagher.
Sure. On 10/22/2023, 10:30 p.m., Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to the licensed premise unit, responded to the Telegraph Bar at 289 Dorchester Street, South Boston. Detectives responded to the premise for an allegation that took place between 11:45 p.m. on 10/7/2023 and approximately 1:32 a.m. on 10/8 inside the bar. The incident was reported as a walk-in report at C6 on 10/15 at 12 p.m. by P.O. Sinead Coyne, Boston Police Department, report number 232083387. P.O. Coyne's report stated the victim claimed to be in Telegraph Bar with her friends at about 11:45 p.m. on 10/7. Victim stated she was allowed to stay after the posted closing hour and was given free alcohol. Victim goes on to state that she does not remember leaving the bar or how she arrived at home. Detectives spoke to the person in charge, Michael Wolfson, who stated that he does work on Saturday nights. Detectives were given the owner's contact information. Detectives informed Mr. Wolfson that they would need security footage from 11:45 p.m. to 2 a.m. from October 7th to the 8th. As a result, what detectives were informed of, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued a licensed premise inspection notice number 040597 to Telegraph Hill Bar for premise operating after posted 1 a.m. closing, premise providing free alcoholic beverages to patrons. Mr. Michael Wolfson signed for and accepted the notice. That's my report.
Thank you. Those are all the reports that the board has in its possession. Attorney Ford, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, just a few questions for Detective Troy, if I may. Sir, it's fair to say there was no violation issued for disturbance on the premises or any type of assault of an employee on patron, correct?
Sorry, I was on mute. I apologize. No, the matter is assigned to detectives and under investigation.
Okay, and the alleged incident was reported a week after it allegedly occurred, correct?
That's correct.
And of course, no one from the Boston Police Department was there when when they did appear, either for Sergeant Detective Gallagher or yourself, sir. Was the licensee cooperative, answered all questions and the like?
Yes, sir, they were.
All right, and just one final question for either of you, if you know, has there been any type of arrest made in this matter?
The investigating detective is present, and perhaps she can address that.
No, not at this time.
Thank you very much. All right, I don't have any further questions. If the board doesn't have any for the police department, may I proceed with my direct?
I have a question. Detective Rooney, is this an ongoing investigation?
Yes, I'm still waiting for some testing to come back.
And the nature of the investigation is, can you describe it?
It's a sexual assault investigation at this time. The victim doesn't know what happened to her after she left the bar.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do you have any questions, Commissioner Carter, Commissioner Saxon, the police?
Was video provided?
Maybe we can address that. By the time the violation was received, which I think was about 16 days after, it's already recorded at that at that point. So there is no video. I can provide later the screenshot that shows that and the actual date, if that would be helpful.
What would have been the longest time that the video lasted?
Let me direct that to the assistant manager, Jeremy Scanlon.
The duration of the video is 14 days in our system.
Nothing additional from me. Thank you.
Anything further from the board for the Boston Police Department before we move on to the witnesses? Attorney Ford, you may proceed.
Thank you. All right, at this time, I'd like to direct the board to the testimony of Mr. Bennett, who is right in the center of the screen. Sir, would you please introduce yourself to the board?
I'm Daniel Bennett. I provide security for the bar.
And how long have you been with Telegraph?
8 months.
And were you working on the night into the morning of October 7th, October 8th?
That is correct. Yes, I was.
Okay, and just briefly, so that give the board the sense of your ability to observe, could you describe the premises and its size?
600 square footage. The bar pretty much encompasses the top floor. Second floor are the restrooms with a photo booth in the kitchen. As far as visibility, you can pretty much see the entire bar and all the patrons from any vantage point at the top of the bar. Exit doors, front, back of the bar, and downstairs.
All right, and do you know what the closing hour is? Last call, final warning, and then doors closed?
Last call, 12:40. The doors are locked at 1 o'clock by myself. We allow patrons to finish their drinks and they have to be out by 1:25, 1:30 the latest. But the doors are locked at 1 o'clock. No exceptions.
All right, and at some point there were 4 women all together at the bar that evening, correct?
That is correct, along with other patrons.
And what were they doing at the bar?
The 4 women came in little before last call. Michael announced it was the last call. They ordered some drinks. They sat down towards the front view of the bar near the windows, finished their drinks. 1 o'clock, the remaining patrons began to exit out as they understood that we closed the doors at 1 o'clock. As the women were still finishing their drinks, we extended the courtesy and said, we do close the doors at 1, but if you're more than welcome to come towards the back of the bar, towards the end of the bar, should I say, and finish the drinks because you just got here. We then started communicating with them, myself and Michael. They mentioned that they moved into the neighborhood. They were friends. They were acquainted from Springfield, Massachusetts. They sort of made comments on the different signage that we have throughout the bar and how they just, had a new apartment. They didn't have any furnishings or anything like that. Me and Michael said, hey, we do have some older signs that we're not utilizing in the back porch of the bar. You're more than welcome to come out and see, we'll probably give you a couple just as a courtesy. 2 of the women proceeded with Michael. I remained at the bar, didn't leave the bar at all with the other 2 women. They came back in, the signage, I believe they took 2 of them. They were very happy and, grateful. Now they had something to put on their walls. They also noted that, this was a clean bar. They sort of appreciated the courtesy of letting them finish their drinks. As I continued talking to 2 of the women, one of them, unauthorized, came behind the bar. So I found that a little alarming. Michael proceeded after her. So then I knew it was being handled as he was there. So therefore nothing would take place. I continued conversating with one of her friends who was right across from me. Next thing I know, I look over to where Michael and the woman was, and I saw them quickly kiss on the lips, no more than 3 seconds. I noted the reaction of one of the women that I was talking to. We both simultaneously looked over. Her reaction was a little awkward to me. I don't know if it was disgust, sort of alarmed, that they were kissing or their friend kissed them, whatever the scenario is. At that point, it's around 1:15. Me, myself, and Michael have to clean the bar, get it ready for the next day. We mentioned to the women, please finish your drinks, but we do have to make sure that we do close everything out. Around 1:25, all 4 women proceeded to leave. They thanked us for the signage, the extended courtesy of them finishing their drinks. They mentioned that they will be back. Once they left the premises, the door was already locked. I made sure to push the door again to make sure it's securely locked once they left, so therefore nobody else would come in. And that was pretty much the extent of the night.
And with respect to the kiss, did Michael Wolfson go in for a kiss, or did the woman jump up to give a kiss when she was behind the bar?
It appeared like she went for the kiss.
And was this a, I mean, if you could just, was this a peck? What was it?
It was a peck is what I noticed. Me and her friend simultaneously looked over, and there was like a quick peck on the lips. No more than 3 seconds, if that.
And then to ask you, just the demeanor of all 4 women at that time, at the time that they left the premises.
When they left the premises, none of them, in my opinion, were intoxicated. They were jovial. Like I said, they were happy that we extended the courtesy. We're very grateful for the signs they received. Mentioned that they would return to the bar. They all left together.
Was any free alcohol given?
No.
And when were they completely off the premises?
They were out the door at 1:25 a.m. And I'm certain of that because I keep my phone with me in my pocket to make sure I'm locking the doors at 1 and making sure everybody's out by 1:30.
I have no further questions. I just have some questions for Mr. Wolfson, if I may proceed. Mr. Wolfson, would you please introduce yourself to the board?
My name is Michael Wolfson. I am the assistant manager and bartender at Telegraph Hill.
How long have you worked there for?
18 months.
And draw your attention to the evening of October 7th into the morning of October 8th. Were you working that that night?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And you're aware of the closing hour and last call and when individuals have to be off the premises?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and that's consistent with what Mr. Bennett testified to?
12:45 last call, doors are closed at 1 o'clock. Everybody, no patrons in the building at 1:30.
And at the end of the night, towards the end of the night before, one, did you have an interaction or see 4 women?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and could you just, Mr. Bennett testified to certain things. Could you give further clarity to that of what occurred by way of what you observed and your conduct?
Yes. 12:45, 4 women came into the bar, sat down at the window side, told them this was last call, gave them their drinks, presented the bill. They were talking to me and said that 2 of them just moved into the neighborhood. I went back and gave them the bill. 5 minutes later, 12:50, I said, we're going to be clearing out the room. I noticed that you barely touch your drinks. As we're doing this, would you be more comfortable going to the back of the bar? They were happy and accepted the invitation. They moved over there. Around 1:05, I started having a conversation with all 4 of them at the table. One of the roommates, 2 of the women that were there that had just moved down the street, admired one of the neon signs and then said that we don't have anything for our walls yet. I said, if you would like, I have a bunch of signs. And if you want, we can go check them out. And if you like something. So me and those 2 women went to the storage room while inside the bar was Daniel with the other two women. 5 minutes, pulled out a couple signs. They were very grateful, happy. As I came back into the bar, one of the women came behind the bar without asking permission, grabbed a bottle of liquor off of the shelf of the back bar, went down to one knee and started pouring liquor into her mouth. This was uncomfortable. I leaned down to take the bottle away from her, and as she stood up, she pecked, kissed like a peck, her lips to mine. He stepped back about a foot, looked over, saw everybody seeing the same thing. But the bottle, I asked her to leave the back of the bar. I put the bottle of liquor back on the shelf, and I said, ladies, it's around 1:20. We got to start wrapping it up. They said thank you. They got their stuff together. They were very grateful for the hospitality and their new signs. They said, this is going to be our local place, and I can't wait to come back. And I said, how are you guys getting home? Do you need me to call you an Uber? No, we're all going to the ladies' new apartment, all four of them. I said, okay, walk safely and hope to see you again soon. That's at 1:25. They exited the building. I witnessed Daniel, after they left, checked the door to make sure it was secure. And at 1:30, there was nobody in the building except for me and Daniel. So there was no patrons after 1:30.
And just by way of reference, from when that incident happened, when she went behind the bar unauthorized, that's when you had them leave at that point, correct?
Yes.
And was this, when you were behind the bar, was this a surprise?
Yes, I was very uncomfortable. It was not anything that I thought was going to happen. Yeah, it was very awkward.
Okay. And then I have no further questions, and if I just may proceed with Mr. Scanlon, I think we've answered everything with respect to the video, right? So it only records for 14 days, correct?
That is correct, yes.
All right, and so there's an explanation as we send them in. Those screenshots of the video system, what will it show?
It's a record of the memory that the system holds, as well as the calendar dates that are marked red are the dates that have video footage at the time that I was looking for it. And you would see that October 7th and 8th are no longer highlighted because that video had expired.
And after this happening, you received the violation. Did you perform an investigation with Mr. Bennett and Mr. Wilson?
I did.
And have you reviewed, to the extent necessary, closing procedures and how to deal with patrons that engage in any of that type of behavior?
Yes, all those procedures were reviewed. Based on the citation, I investigated and asked them both what they thought occurred that evening. At the time of the initial citation, we didn't know the full extent of what was being alleged that evening. But all those procedures were reviewed and confirmed.
At this point, Madam Chair, I have nothing further.
Chairwoman Joyce, any questions for the officers or the licensee?
Yes. When Detective Hernandez and Sergeant Gallagher showed up on 10/22, just want to be sure I'm clear, who on your staff was there and spoke to Detective Hernandez and Sergeant Gallagher?
That was me. Can you see me? That was me.
Oh, yeah. Okay, and what was the nature of, how did they describe the nature of their visit?
They said they were checking our licenses on the board, and that there was a report of women stating that they were here after hours and that they stated that they got free drinks.
Okay. When did you learn that it was a possible sexual assault?
I believe that came in on Friday, 2 weeks ago from last Friday. Could have been 3 weeks. I don't remember the exact date, but it was soon. It was a couple weeks ago.
So you were not aware that there was an alleged sexual assault and a victim until a couple weeks ago?
Yes, that is correct. That's correct.
Okay, so back to when Sergeant Gallagher and Detective Hernandez visited the licensed premise on 10/22. That is just 14 days. I guess if you're looking at closing at midnight, going into, they requested the video footage from 11:45 p.m. to midnight, which is within the 14-day window. But then midnight to 2 a.m. would have given you 1 day to 1 day of video footage, I think, if I'm counting the calendar days correctly. So when they asked you to save video footage, what did you do after that?
I told them that I didn't have access or know how to do that, and that I would call Jeremy and let them know that we need to get the video to them. I gave the officers Jeremy's cell phone number for them to contact them directly. And after they left, I immediately called Jeremy that night. And then I believe Jeremy was in the next day, or I'm not certain if it was the Tuesday or the Wednesday, but and tried to retrieve the video.
Okay, and Jeremy, what's your version of the story?
I received a phone call on Monday evening. At that point, it was late. I think they came late in that evening. I was unable to make it to the premises on Tuesday, and I showed up first thing Wednesday to retrieve that video.
And you were like, oh, geez, I'm 1 day late for what the video they wanted.
Correct.
Okay. And so, Jeremy, when did you hear that there was an alleged sexual assault?
That would be at the same time we received a letter in the mail. That was about 2 weeks ago in the middle of December that came.
Okay, I might have some more questions, but I'm gonna let the other commissioners ask some questions. Commissioner Saxon or Commissioner Curran, go ahead.
I mean, my question might go back to the detective about whether the friends had been identified. Detective Rooney.
I did not speak with the friends that night. The victim did not want me to talk to them.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just make clear that the staff at the Telegraph Hill they're not suspects in the sexual assault. It was later after she left the bar.
Oh, so the facts later have kind of changed what the original narrative was. Is that correct, Detective?
So the original narrative was, I think it was just, she stated that Mr. Wolfson had touched her hips and made an inappropriate comment, but she left the bar and didn't know what happened to her. That's where my investigation started, is what the rest of her night. She left the bar. She stated intoxicated and doesn't remember. She said she also had concerns about leaving her drink unattended there. So.
It says that she believes she may have been assaulted and drugged while at Telegraph Bar. She changed her story.
So she believes she was assaulted later, but possibly drugged while at the bar.
How long were the staff at the bar after the women left?
I'm sorry. It was about 2:30. It took us about an hour to clean the rest of the bar.
I have a question for Detective Rooney. When you took this initial report, the walk-in, did you notify the licensed premise, or is it do you just normally notify the licensed premise unit?
Once I received the case, yes, then I and spoke with the victim, then I did notify them about her allegations.
You notified the bar?
No, I notified our licensing unit.
Okay.
I thought I heard in the testimony that there were more people around the bar than just the 4 women. Have you been able to contact or identify who those people were? Other patrons? Question is to Rooney, Detective Rooney.
No, I have not spoken to anybody that was at the bar that night. I don't know who would have been there. And like I said, my concern was what happened later. My investigation was what the sexual assault allegation later.
Sergeant Detective Gallagher, was there, when you arrived on the 22nd, I believe, was there any discussion about video rolling over?
No, there wasn't. There was no discussion about that. We asked for him to save everything, and we thought it was going to be saved. But if there is no video, maybe they can provide us with the time that they set the alarm going out the door that evening, and if that's consistent with what they usually do. There might be a record of that we could look at as well. But we thought everything was going to be held when we asked for it.
Are there any further questions from the board?
No.
With that, the board will take this matter under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 7, Street Prints LLC, located at 48 Temple Place. Date of the incident, October 20th, 2023. Blocked and locked fire exit in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.06A. Who's present on behalf of the licensee? Is anybody on with us from Street Prints LLC? We will attempt to contact them and take a second call. Calling item number 8, PT Opco LLC, doing business as Pink Taco, located at 374 Congress Street. Date of the incident, October 27th, 2023. Persons under 21 in possession of alcohol on premise in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Sections 34A, 34C, and 6464A. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Caroline O'Connell is here on behalf of the licensee. With me are John Bush, who is the license manager, David Miller, and Yuri Kilishenko, who are both regional managers.
Thank you. And who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
I am Detective Hernandez.
Thank you, Detective Hernandez. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Detective William Gallagher, if need be.
Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Detective Hernandez, will you be reading the police report to the record?
Yes, sir. Good morning. I'll be reading from a police report, which I wrote on Friday, October 27, 2023. Signed Detective William Gallagher and Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to the licensed permission to conduct a licensed permission inspection of Pink Taco. While inside the establishment, detectives observed a table of 8 patrons drinking alcoholic beverages. Detectives noticed that these patrons looked young. Detectives are asked to produce identification to confirm their ages. All of the individuals stated they were over 21 years of age and produced various forms of identification alleging they were all over 21 years of age. After a lengthy discussion, detectives were able to confirm that 4 out of the 8 patrons had provided fraudulent Colombian driver's license and Colombian identification cards. These documents contained the individual's correct name, but displayed a date of birth that made it appear as though the persons were over 21 years of age. The fraudulent Colombian driver's licenses and identification cards were confiscated by detectives. Detectives were able to confirm the true identity of the underage patrons. The underage patrons will be summoned to court for persons under 21 possession of alcohol and possession of fraudulent identification. It should be noted that the other individuals in the group were confirmed to be over 21 years of age. Detectives brought this to the attention of the person in charge, Mr. John Boucher, As a result of what detectives observed, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued license premise inspection notice 059280 for 4 persons under 21 possessing of alcohol on premise. Mr. Boucher signed for and accepted the notice. That's all.
Thank you. Attorney O'Connell, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Sure, I just had a couple of quick questions. One, what's the licensee cooperative with the police?
Yes, they were.
And 2, I note that there is a lengthy discussion in an attempt to find out how old these patrons were. How long was that discussion?
About 5-10 minutes total
Okay.
to try to get everybody to tell us their real information, give us their real IDs.
Okay, thank you. And then I'll just kind of give a little recap on our end of what happened, if that's okay. The way Pink Taco works, there's a person at the door that checks identification on the way in. And then sometimes they're checked again at the table. In this incident, all of the patrons were checked at the door because they were, as noted, Colombian driver's licenses. It did take the door person a fairly long time to review those licenses. It's over 2 minutes of footage of them looking at the licenses and asking questions. We're more than happy to provide that footage to the board should they want to look at it. So, and what happens is after the person has been confirmed to be over 21, they do get stamped so that it's easy for everyone in the bar and restaurant to see who is over and under 21. And if like in this scenario, there's a mixed party table. If there's a mixed party table, they're 21 over and there's over 21 and under 21. Those tables are flagged to the manager on staff at the time, and those parties are flagged to the server so that they make sure that they're carding everybody at the table, making sure that they're only serving the over 21 patrons. There are no shared drinks at those tables. There's no pitchers. Everybody has to have individual drinks. Boston Police has been back to the premises. They're back last week to do a license check. They noted that Pink Taco has all of its permits are up to date, and they did confirm that the licensee does daily crowd management. Pink Taco does try to work with the police department to make sure, because their patrons skew young, to make sure that they are really complying with the laws. A couple of things I would like to go into the training that Pink Taco has and some of the mitigation factors that we have done since the date of the incident. Pink Taco has an internal training program that every single employee is required to take. They are trained as part of the onboarding, and then they're trained again annually. As a result of this incident, everybody was retrained. In addition, at the pre-shift meetings, servers are reminded of the importance of proper service, and they're reminded of their policy to not serve minors and to be vigilant with checking identifications. As I've noted, for mixed party groups, those tables are flagged to the manager on staff, and they're flagged to the server so that everybody is aware that there are persons under 21 at the table. If a patron at a table is carded and the identification is fraudulent or not acceptable, or they do not have appropriate backup identification, the table may be asked to leave. If it's a fraudulent ID, the entire table is asked to leave. Pink Taco will not serve anyone who provides a fraudulent ID. The licensee does have a fairly large stack of identifications that have been taken for patrons. They are fairly vigilant about this. And the backup identifications that Pink Taco will take are only government issued photo IDs. They do not take credit cards, college IDs, anything like that. It has to be a passport or a license. At the recommendation of Boston Police, Pink Taco immediately purchased IntelliCheck scanners for its premises, just to make sure that it had the best, most compliant scanners going forward. In addition, Pink Taco has implemented a new policy where no foreign driver's licenses are taken. They will only take foreign passports. So it's not just Colombian driver's licenses, it's any foreign driver's license, unless you have a backup form of a passport or another acceptable form of identification. Those are no longer permitted. The licensee does regret that it is before the board today, but I would like to ask the board to consider the Pink Taco's fairly robust policies to prevent service to minor. We're happy to provide all of our training policies, all of our onboarding materials, the various reminders that staff do get from time to time to make sure that they are compliant with the laws. In addition, Pink Taco would like to ask the board to consider the fact that these 4 patrons did provide fraudulent identification to Boston Police and did try to convince everybody that they were over 21, and 4 of them have been charged with providing fraudulent identifications. Lastly, we'd like you to consider the remedial steps that Pink Taco has taken going forward, which is to not only card at the door, but card at the table for younger looking patrons, purchase IntelliCheck scanners, and the new policy prohibiting the acceptance of foreign driver's licenses. I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have, as are the licensee.
Thank you, Attorney O'Connell. We'll see if there are any questions from the board. Chairman Joyce, any questions?
I just want to clarify, what do you accept as backup?
They have to be government IDs. It has to be a passport or a driver's license.
Okay.
They have to be photo IDs. So a credit card would not work.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
None from me. Thank you.
Thank you. The board will take this matter under advisement as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 9 has been continued and will be rescheduled to the next available hearing date. We'll take a quick second call on item 7 to see if anyone has joined us. Have we been joined by anybody on behalf of Street Prints LLC? They were hand served. Chairman Joyce, would you like to proceed or reschedule them to the next available hearing date?
We'll just reschedule them.
This will be rescheduled to the next available hearing date as well. Those are all of the items before the board this morning, and that will adjourn this morning's hearing. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.